months that are left in the year. And so in January, I'll start reflecting what that amount is projected to be. It's a little tricky because it's not across the board. Some groups are 5 days, some groups are less. And so I'll start reflecting that, noting that that will fall to the ending fund balance and that will be reserved for next year. So, any questions on my general fund report?
Okay,
great.
All right.
And also included for board request was potential, I messed my pages up. What's your next page? Okay, it is the bond potential refunds and credits, and there has been a status column added. With the help of Mike Maloney, those comments have been added, and we will continue to update them every month. Okay. And he's also put in some recovery status on each area. And so I guess I caught the comment in the facility minutes because on here, it's the last two on this report say they're in 403 and therefore other projects, not bonded projects. So that's kind of, now that we'll match once we correct the minutes. Any questions on the potential refunds? You will not see these dollars. I'm kind of black and white when it comes to money, and Mike thinks more globally. So these you will not see reflected in these budgets that are to follow. So those have not been budgeted to spend until we receive them. And I kind of pull the reins back. No, we can't spend it until we get them.
I think that's a good thing.
Yes. I got it right. So then there's an update on the 403 projects and also the 401 projects that follow. So like I said, those are less than what they were projected last month because we've had some expenditures in the meanwhile, but yet they don't reflect any additional revenues that are anticipated to be received. So I just wanted to clarify that.
Any questions or comments?
Thank you. Oh, Kathy?
Thank you, Mike and Mary, for in particular putting together a spreadsheet on the potential monies that might be coming in as refunds and with the timeline. That's very helpful.
Okay.
The thing noted in the there is a school funding update from the state. I'd just like to note that we were anticipating a significant reduction as a November forecast. There, I better. We were expecting, I think all schools in the state were expecting a significant reduction in the November forecast. I know many of you have seen the reports in the media recently about how that was handled. I just want to make sure that we are regularly looking over the next few months at the fact that they took what was a $200,000 shortfall, a $200 million shortfall. Big difference there. Identified in our state budget for this year, and they've used some accounting strategies and taken the $200 million shortfall for the rest of this year and they've placed it into next year's deficit. So instead of cutting right now, they're saying they're going to delay any statewide cutting. For instance, one of the possibilities was the governor could have used his across-the-board authority to cut everything a certain percentage. But they put that off into next year. So next year's deficit now is identified as growing from $3.3 to $3.5 billion. We'll keep you updated as we get more clarity on that. The unfortunate thing right now is I'm usually willing to project out fairly far, but there are so many variables right now associated with how large that deficit is. I think it's really hard to say anything more than it's a big hole. And they're going to be doing a lot of work in February at the legislature to try to figure out how to deal with it. So as I get more information, I'll bring it to you.
Okay. And that takes us down to board report, and we have school connections or school buddy reports, and then to talk about the board self-evaluation. So Tracy handed out a written report. Would you like to start with that, Tracy?
Sure. I'll just read a couple of the highlights on it. In November, the kids at MES had their jogathon and they raised over $11,000.
Wow.
This had well surpassed their original goal of 10,000, so they earned the right to dunk some important people. The student with the highest points got to dunk a teacher of their choice, and they chose Mr. Wakefield. The class with the highest point total got to take a shot at dunking Miss Whitehall. And since the overall goal was met, the whole school got a shot at dunking Miss Vickery. The teachers and the staff were absolutely wonderful sports about this all, because when I got in my car to leave this assembly, I checked the temperature gauge. This was an outdoor assembly. It was 53 degrees outside. But the money raised from this is going to be split between the PTA funds and the student body accounts, and it's going to field things such as field trips, special events, assemblies, and some supplemental curriculum materials, including one that's going to benefit the 3rd through 5th math, which is aligned with the Oregon State Standards, that's pretty exciting. The choir's been very active. They performed a concert with music from Hybrids, and they had a canned food drive at the same time and collected over 10 boxes of food that was donated. An exciting thing that's going to be happening there is that they are starting a Chinese language club for 4th and 5th graders. It was limited to 25 slots, and it filled up very quickly. It's going to be held with students from the English Language Cultural Institute. And the students are going to learn to speak Mandarin Chinese, and they're also going to Skype with students in Taiwan.
Thank you. Sarah? Well, things are hopping with the Eagles. They just got done with a big battle over the canned food drive. Beavs against the Ducks, and the Beavers won there. So they let us down on the field, but hey, the kids were pretty excited about that.
Working on implementing the new report card process, and they were pretty positive towards it all. Great, thank you. Kathy?
We too, at Henry Hill, are doing the book drive, the 12 days of Christmas. By the way, you probably noticed that there were multiple articles in the paper about that, which was great, you know, and you're recipients of getting those books, and that's great. We had the science literacy night after last board meeting, and I attended that, and it was a wonderful organized chaos with lots of kids and lots of parents, and the food was actually catered by San Antonio's, and it was wonderful. We had the math literacy on the 4th. I was not back for that, but it was also wonderfully attended by about 80 families, around 250 people. And Mike Vedder's super snacks were available for the kids, and adults paid for that, but that was great. There's an open bookcase time at breakfast time in the mornings for children who want to come and work on their 20 minutes a day reading, which is for their homework heroes achievement. And those books are available, and kids can get their breakfast and come in and grab a book and read, and there are often parents there who can help children with that. I think that's wonderful. And another thing that's going on is that there's the chess club, and there are about 60 kids involved in that. It's a wonderful program that really helps these kids not only learn chess, but has a direct impact on their ability to learn. So that's happening as well. Our kids are going to be at the Capitol on the 8th.